This is BBC Two as we head to the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield for the opening day of the World Snooker Championship.
Afternoon, Kate here live on BBC One and now on the spot in Sheffield to the Crucible for live coverage of World Championship Snooker.
Welcome snooker fans to BBC 4 tonight on the opening day of the prestigious World Championship. Nightly from 7, we'll bring you live coverage from Sheffield of the evening session at the Crucible.
Will Kyron Wilson be the first to break the Crucible curse? Earlier than billed, World Championship extra highlights on BBC Two.
This is BBC Two, spending our morning at the Crucible, home of the World Snooker Championship.
Back to the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two. Nerves of steel required on the snooker table.
Welcome to Sunday night on BBC 4 with live snooker for the next few hours. Don't miss a moment as the evening session gets underway on day 2 at the World Championship.
To the Crucible now on BBC 2 for pick of the day's frames at the Snooker World Championship.
To the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
The Crucible is back in full swing. Time for a look back at the best of today's battles on the bays.
The Crucible awaits us now on BBC Two, ready for another morning of high drama at the World Snooker Championship.
Nightly at 7 on BBC 4 this week. Enjoy all the action and atmosphere live from the Crucible in Sheffield. The evening session on day 4 at the World Snooker Championship.
From Sean to Ronnie, Ding to Judd, was your favourite player at the table today? BBC Two's back in Sheffield.
This is BBC Two, spending our morning at the Crucible, home of the World Snooker Championship. To the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Our starting point this Wednesday night on BBC 4, the Crucible in Sheffield for all the action, all the atmosphere from the evening session at the World Snooker Championship.
Now on BBC Two, Q-tips gleam with hope. Precision marks the challenge. Champions will rise.
To the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Live snooker, now on BBC4. All the action, all the atmosphere from the evening session at the World Championship in Sheffield.
Well, we had a great afternoon at the Crucible here on BBC Two. If you couldn't watch it with us live, here's the best of today's action.
This is BBC Two. Spending our morning at the Crucible, home of the World Snooker Championship. To the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Welcome to Friday night on BBC4. Your weekend starts here with music night along later, after live snooker to begin at the World Championship.
What did they bring to the table today? Here are highlights from the Snooker World Championship.
Saturday afternoon snooker, earlier than billed on BBC One now. Welcome, it's Dean Lydiot here with you live, watching the world's best compete at the Crucible.
Welcome to Saturday night on BBC Two. I'm David with you live from Nairn to Bodmin, Shrewsbury to Hornsey, dropping in now for the evening excitement from the Crucible, Sheffield.
Live snooker on BBC4 now. Let's take you to the Crucible in Sheffield as the evening session continues at the World Championship.
We're only 1 week away from the final thrilling climax, transforming from tournament grind to an electrifying showdown for snooker supremacy. Later than billed, we're back at the Crucible.
This is BBC Two, spending our morning at the Crucible, home of the World Snooker Championship. To the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Welcome to Sunday night on BBC Two. We're here with you live, going into the unknown on a challenging expedition with Steve Backshall at 8:15. Right after, we head back to the action at the Crucible.
The Crucible in Sheffield is the setting for an evening of top-class snooker now on BBC4, continuing live coverage from this year's World Championship.
Former champions in blistering form today at the Crucible. The best of all the action now on BBC Two from the Snooker World Championship.
Back to the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two. Nerves of steel required on the snooker table.
A merry Monday to you, Kate here live. The boards are set for the final Chessmasters endgame at 8. Now, live snooker from Sheffield. Any more upsets or centuries in Sheffield today? Now on BBC Two, extra snooker highlights.
This is BBC Two, spending our morning at the Crucible, home of the World Snooker Championship.
To the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Welcome to Tuesday night on BBC Two. We're here with you live with Mortimer and Whitehouse gone fishing in an hour. After, more quarter-final action from Sheffield.
Welcome if you're joining us on BBC 4 now for live quarter-final action from the Crucible in Sheffield, Snooker's World Championship.
The quarter-finals kicked off today. The highlights now on BBC 2, later than billed, as we head back to the Crucible.
This is BBC Two. Spent an hour morning at the Crucible, home of the World Snooker Championship. To the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Lindsay here live, and it's a warm Wednesday on BBC Two, but we're keeping things cool with a look at the genius of modern motorways after heated quarter-final action.
Battling for a place in the semi-finals of the World Snooker Championship now on BBC 4. More live action from the evening session in Sheffield.
Been at the Crucible. Extended highlights now on BBC Two of the quarter-finals.
To the Crucible in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Hello, good to have you along this Thursday night on BBC Two. I'm with you live. Awesome archaeology on Digging for Britain in an hour for stunning semi-finals World Championship snooker.
Welcome to BBC 4 if you're joining us now for live snooker from Sheffield, the evening session from the semi-finals of the World Championship.
The Crucible awaits us now on BBC Two, ready for another morning of high drama at the World Snooker Championship.
To the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield, now on BBC Two for an afternoon at the World Snooker Championship.
Hi there, thanks for your company tonight on BBC Two. I'm here live. A Garden Swell special coming up in an hour. First, scintillating semi-finals World Championship snooker.
Well, a quick break from Music Night just for the moment as we welcome snooker fans to BBC 4 now for continuing live semi-final action from the World Championship.
This is BBC Two, spending our morning at the Crucible, home of the World Snooker Championship.
A bit of a change to our planned Saturday afternoon here on BBC One Northern Ireland. With Rocket Ronnie knocked out, it means we're not now heading to the Crucible. Instead, we're off planning another escape to the country.
Welcome to Saturday night on BBC Two. We're here with you live, and it's all about the snooker. Who will take that last place in the final? Time to find out as we head back to the Crucible.
Making Crucible history today with the oldest ever player to reach a World Championship final. which begins now on BBC One Wales as we join Hazel Irvine.
Good evening, Anthony here live. Welcome to Sunday night on BBC Two. Now, the crowd are in, the players are firmly in the zone as evening begins live at the Crucible.
The prize is in sight, that glittering trophy and the title Champion of the World. Now on BBC Two, back to the Crucible as the final continues.
Welcome to BBC Two. It's Dean Lydiot with you live this bank holiday Monday night, with nerves of steel needed at the Crucible in Sheffield for the final frames of snooker's World Championship.